Rated M for mature.
What's up, everyone? I'm Luke, the community manager at Modus Games, and today I am joined by Chief Designer Bartek from Jutsu Games, the team behind Rustler. Bart, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
So for the uninitiated, Rustler is a top-down action-adventure sandbox set in a historically inaccurate medieval world. You'll play as Guy, a ruffian with parents not creative enough to give him a proper name, and your ultimate goal in Rustler is to scheme your way into the grand tournament with the ultimate prize of winning the princess's hand. And of course, you'll be wreaking as much medieval chaos as you can along the way. And Bart, your team is responsible for designing and developing this title. And so before we jump into kind of the nitty gritty of Rustler, I just wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about your background, Jutsu's background in the games industry, and what led to the idea for Rustler.
Okay, so about our background. So for the last 5 years, we did very serious games called the Operators 911 and 112. And that was actually, a pair of much different shoes. And in the meantime, we had to do something for fun and just do something that's as enjoyable as possible. And this is where the idea for Rustler came in. Actually, it's a result of a pure love of to absurd humor and simple gameplay. So plus we know that there are millions of players that enjoy that too. So that sounds like a plan already.
Definitely. And I think the first thing people notice when they look at Rustler is they're like, this seems like the old school kind of GTA 2 style top-down open world game. What about those original GTA games did you guys love so much to the point that you said, we want to make something similar to this. We want to do something in this vein?
Okay, so those are the games that we grow up playing, and maybe it's about that life was simpler back then, and that gameplay was much simpler back then. It's pretty obvious rules what you can do and what you cannot do, where you can go, what you can drive, whom you can kill or not kill. Well, you can basically kill anyone, right? In the game, and it will be just it will result only in some chase by the guards, and then you can restart and play again and just have fun as much as you like. And on the other hand, please mind that we are a very small team, that like 10 people in total, and we had to scale what we are going to do with what we could do with those limited team members.
Yeah, exactly. We see kind of the way GTA over time has grown into, kind of that third person, real open world, giant world sandbox. And, I think it's cool that a team of your size took inspiration from that and decided we want to kind of return to the old GTA roots. So how did you guys, I imagine that decision is kind of limiting, right? Deciding to go into developing a game in this kind of top-down, more old school way. Can you talk a little bit about some of the decision making that went into kind of simplifying the concept and what it is you wanted to take from those old school top-down GTA games and put into Rustler?
All right. So, first of all, we wanted to make like a simple game to play, simple to jump in. Not so large as the newest AAAs. That's what we could do. So that's how Raster began, and we also wanted to make it visually simple again, with simple controls. Not going into such details like distant aiming, like I don't know, flying in 3D world with planes or helicopters or whatever you could in other games. So that's how we decided with Rustler.
Yeah, and obviously GTA is kind of the first inspiration that comes to mind when you just see footage of Rustler, but other pieces of media inspired you as well. Can you talk a little bit about those other inspirations that the team baked into the game.
Yeah, so well, apart from the games, well, we take a lot of inspiration from the movies that we love, and well, let's start with the Monty Python absurd sense of humor. Well, that's maybe a bit for the older audiences, but it's still universal. Well, going with these over-the-top jokes that you can find in those movies, and this is the kind of humor that you're gonna find in the game. So. Going with the holy hand grenades, with the bard's music, with knights that lose their arms and still keep on fighting, or the famous and always unexpected Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, the Monty Python is definitely one of those timeless things. Monty Python and the Holy Grail, probably one of the most quotable movies of all time. And, I think it's kind of transcended generations, right? To where it's not just people our age that remember it. I think Monty Python is one of those things that's reached everywhere.
But it's not all. We take inspirations from many more TV series and movies and games, and we try to play with those cliches, like the first one that's always about you being the prince that was promised, the chosen one. And in Rustler, well, you're not this kind of guy. You're just an ordinary guy that steal horses, that is actually a low criminal, a low-born son of farmers, and there is no hidden layer in that. Well, spoiler alert, you won't find out that you are a hidden prince blood or something like that.
Yeah, I love that, kind of taking the tropes of classic kind of medieval entertainment, things that the stories that we know and love from that era, and kind of turning it on its head to say you're not going to back into those cliches. I do want to talk a little bit about I know you briefly mentioned the bard music. There's a lot of hip-hop inspiration in the game as well. Can you talk a little bit about where that comes from?
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a bit strange for many people, but let's start with a very old anime actually called Samurai Champloo. That's again medieval, kind of Japanese medieval, but they used a very modernized music, and this is what we also wanted to achieve with Rustler music, with medievalized modern music, actually played by guitar, played by flute, played by some fiddles, or just beatboxing, because why not? Well, the instrument was available back in medieval times. Well, they could play anything they imagined, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. I do want to talk a little bit about kind of how you approached where you wanted to stay really true to your setting, right? Because you in the medieval, you've got the weaponry, the swords and crossbows, you've got the horses and the carts, and the old school guards and the old school tournament, right? But then you kind of step out of the medieval in other ways and bring the modern into it. What was the team's kind of creative approach to deciding how to blur that line?
Well, yeah, so this is actually another cliche that we played on, and telling that this is a historically inaccurate setting. You can find so many games claiming that this one is historically accurate. We did a lot of research and we did a nice game that exactly fits the reality of some ancient times. And we did something completely opposite. We actually played with all those cliches. If there was something about the plagues, death, the dirt, we actually extrapolate that. If there's the Inquisition fighting all the non-believers, that's what we also extrapolate. If there are flat earthers in this world, then we use round earthers in Rustler, and then chase them, actually persecute them in the game by the orders of the Inquisition, and many other jokes of this kind that you can find in it, with the quests, or just painted on the walls. Because again, why people couldn't do graffiti in medieval times? They had paint, they had walls. That's
Mm-hmm.
all you do. That's all you need.
Yeah, a word we constantly use internally and in a lot of the stuff we write about Rustler is shenanigans or antics, and that you can get up to these medieval antics and shenanigans in the game. Tell us about some of the unique situations that Guy is going to find himself in as people play Rustler.
Oh, actually, that's a lot of that's quite a few of them. Well, starting with all the fighting and stealing that's you do like every minute basically. Well, you don't have your own horses; you just take whatever you like. Standing by on the parking spots, medievalized horses parking spots, and then fighting with all the weapons. That's the basics, right? Then you run from the guards, and then different kind of guards, starting with some simple militia guys with just a sword and with spears, crossbows. Then they ride horses and they chase you. They try to take you off the horse and take to prison. So that's the basics, right? But then you do a lot of strange things, like you collect bodies that just lay around. You dress as death and then scare people with your sight, and then you can work for the priest. Well, just herding people to a mass, or then collecting debts, collecting money, digging gold from a field with a plow, forging documents. Well, this might spoil the story a bit, but then you dig out some bones that obviously Inquisition considers to be a dragon, but you will easily notice that that's a dinosaur bones over there. Then you go witch burning and everything that people accommodate with medieval times on many different media.
Yeah, I love how self-aware the game tends to be with its setting, right? And I think the death, being able to dress up as death and go around and scaring people is maybe one of the prime examples of that, because you have Guy, this kind of simpleton who you would expect to be superstitious and hold those same beliefs as the people he's scaring, really kind of with a self-awareness and an understanding of the setting that he's in and how he can play on the fears of people, right?
Of course. Well, the death is not the only person that you dress like as.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you dress as a guard. You dress as in one of the quests. You actually also dress as a lady, to well do one very particular stuff. But again, let's not go into spoilers. So let's carry on.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about the setting, right? But I want to kind of step back and talk about how your team decided that this was the setting that you wanted to step into with Rustler. Why medieval, and were there other options that were on the table in the early phases?
Well, no, definitely we started with medieval. This is because well our own preferences, our own hobbies with sword fighting, with live action role playing games that we do as a hobby as well. So this all connects to together and then forms Rustler as a whole. So definitely we wanted to check the medieval setting for Rustler with the horses, with the melee weapons as your primary ones. Well, this creates a lot of difficulties. Well, horses are not cars, and they behave much differently. They have their own intelligence. They have to react if you hit them. They fall. They bleed. Well, that's something that happens in the game, right? But then we don't have any electronics. We couldn't just pick up a phone. We actually thought about picking pigeons as your messengers, but well, that didn't work out in the long run. So we had to skip and just talk with NPC characters whenever you pick up a quest. And then we didn't have a radio on your horses, so we had to come up with something, and we thought about employable bards that walk after you and play some music and actually adapt the music to what you do. So play faster if you fight, or change music if you punch them, or you can just kill them and pick up a guitar and play on your own.
I want to ask you a little bit about kind of the brainstorming process for these situations. Like you mentioned, it's a smaller team, a group of 10 people that were working on this game. Did you guys just have times where you sat in a room and kind of bounced off ridiculous ideas with one another, or how did each of these individual kind of ridiculous antics come about creatively?
Yeah, well, this is how it all went. Like we sit in a circle and then throw an idea for a quest, and then somebody has uh, some some joke to tell about it, or something even crazier and crazier and crazier. And this is how the quest went. Sometimes maybe even too far, but hopefully not. And you can all get the joke. So yeah, this is what happened with the guys that collect horses with many places in the game, how they look like even the gate in between the islands, like that looks like an entrance to a highway, basically a medievalized wooden entrance to the highway with all the gates instead of just classic medieval city gate.
So the game has been. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Let's go with another question.
So the game has been in early access on Steam now for a few months, and I know community feedback has been something that's been important to the team. Can you talk a little bit about how that feedback has gone into improving the game, and are there any specific ways that that feedback has informed the changes you've decided to implement?
Yeah, sure. Well, it was all about the feedback, actually. Well, we really took a look into the reviews that people wrote, and we well identified the main issues with the early game that we had with some complicated controls, high difficulty for hardcore players. Now it's much more simplified. It's adaptive to what you do. Then we also changed the controls a lot. So we actually implemented two more control modes for people that are used to different kind of games. And they still want to play with their preferred ones. So there's mouse-oriented, horse-oriented, and screen-oriented modes for a keyboard, and you can also play with a gamepad that's fully integrated, and also have some awesome features of DualSense controller.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, well, we did a lot of surveys. We did a lot of mail readings, Steam community reading, and then just took the main issues one by one and fixed them. So hopefully now you're gonna have a very positive game that you all gonna enjoy and have fun for a number of hours.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see kind of just the games industry at large kind of changing the way that early access has been used, right? Because uh, it used to be you thought early access was really like multiplayer games, stress testing, or live service games, and now you're seeing more single player focused games oriented around this. And so because that community feedback is so important in the middle of the development cycle and not after a 1.0 release, right? Like you guys are still kind of elbow deep in the messy work of development, and it's a great time to implement feedback in real time as it's coming in.
Yeah, well, it's been just 6 months, so it's well, relatively short early access game. But actually, that was a very intensive time to improve the main aspects of the game and still extend the content, because we actually implemented a number of extra quests and side activities in the game. In the meantime, then doing some extra details, like now you can see, for example, some chickens running around, some rats going from place to place. So we could also go into some really important details of the world that we show in the game.
And the game is releasing fully in later this month, August 31st. So we're in the home stretch, right? And I have to imagine, as somebody who's been, how long has Rustler been kind of baking in the oven?
Oh, like that's over 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, with with a few twists, but now it's fully complete now after over 3 years of development. So still kind of fast. That was a roller coaster of emotions, as always. But I can tell that we are happy with what we deliver, and we are very happy to deliver it and publish it finally with on August 31st with the full version.
Yeah, and that's across multiple platforms, right? So you've got it on PC, but it's also coming to consoles, PS4, PS5, Series X, Series S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, all of these different platforms. I have to imagine like you pour 3 years of your life into the creation of something, right? And you've submitted all these games now to all these different platforms, and now you're just kind of waiting for people to finally get their hands on it. So it's got to be a mix of emotions leading up to the full launch, right?
Well, of course, yes. Well, we had some hard times after the early access. But this is actually this was kind of expected. We also went for Kickstarter like a year before. That was also some even earlier early access than the early access on Steam. So that gave us a lot of feedback, a very positive one as well. Really love the community. Thanks, you guys, if you watch this video. And then we had the wide release on early access, and now we have the final release. Looking forward for the feedback and what you guys think playing the game. Hope you enjoy.
Well, Bart, I appreciate you taking some time to chat with me today. I'm excited for people to finally get their hands on Rustler outside of early access when it fully launches later this month. So yeah, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for talk. So see you around. Cheers. Bye.
And Rustler does launch August 31st, like I said, on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch. Physical pre-orders are available now, and you can play the game in early access on Steam right now. So go check that out. And so yeah, until next time, be safe and take care. Goodbye.